Week 18 of the fantasy baseball season, and here's a few hitters I look to buy and trade for with the trade deadline here today in most fantasy leagues. The first hitter, Alex Bregman of the Houston Astros. So Bregman, it's been a pretty solid season, but the last few weeks he's really hit a cold streak on the year. 18 home runs, 70 RBIs, 67 runs scored, 3 stolen bases, a 246 average, and a 343 on base. But the last 2 weeks, like I mentioned, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, 6 runs scored, a 186 average, and a 327 on base. So Bregman this season has been getting on base at a good clip. Power, just about where it's got to be with the 18 home runs on the season here for him. But like I said, the last couple weeks, we really haven't seen much out of him. And right now, well, he's in a slump here, is Bregman. This is a time to go out there and buy him. And he definitely still could finish the season here with about 90 RBIs and 25 home runs. So the last few games, August 2nd versus Cleveland, 2 for 2. August 3rd at the Yankees, 0 for 4. August 4th at the Yankees, 0 for 3, a run and a rib. August 5th at the Yankees, 0 for 3. August 6th at the Yankees, 0 for 5. August 8th at the O's, 2 for 5 with a run. And August 9th at the O's in that one, 2 for 3. So the last 2 games, he does have multiple hits in both ball games. He is Alex Bregman. But besides that, we really haven't seen nothing in the last few weeks. No power, no batting average, but he's still getting on base, like I said, and drawing his walks. And I think he'll come out of this slump here, is Bregman, and pay good dividends for fantasy owners. The next hit is Paul Goldschmidt of the St. Louis Cardinals. So Goldschmidt, what a season he had last year, but this year, numbers definitely down. 18 home runs, 57 RBIs, 65 runs scored, a 275 average, and a 362 on base. So for him, the numbers are down, but if it was another player, you would still take those stats here, even though I know we're almost in mid-August and the last 2 weeks here for Goldschmidt. 1 home run, 6 RBIs, 2 runs scored, a 196 average, and a 275 on base. So right here, Goldschmidt, the power has been down a little bit over the last month of the season. The RBIs aren't where you want them to be, obviously, compared to last season, where he drove in 115 RBIs. And this Cardinal team obviously took a big step back from last year to this year in every aspect of the team. So the last few games for Goldschmidt: August 3rd versus the Twins, 0 for 4. August 4th versus the Rockies, 2 for 5 in RBI. August 5th versus the Rockies, 2 for 4 run. August 6th versus the Rockies, 1 for 4. August 8th at the Rays, 0 for 4. And August 9th at the Rays, 1 for 5 with 2 RBIs. So like I said, not really much here we're seeing out of Goldschmidt. Only 4 RBIs for him in the month of August, which isn't a great number. And right now, they have a good matchup coming up after their finale here today at Tampa Bay. Then they go to Kansas City, where we know they're one of the worst pitching staffs in the league. So right now, while Goldschmidt hasn't done much over the last few weeks, and we know he still could be an elite hitter in this league, this is a perfect time to buy him low, because once he gets going, you might regret yourself not at least throwing out a trade there at the deadline here to get him on your team. The next is Randy Arozarena of the Tampa Bay Rays. So he's really struggled as Arozarena over the last month of the season. On the year, 18 home runs, 66 RBIs, 12 stolen bases, 64 runs scored, a 255 average, and a 362 on base. But the last month, like I mentioned, we haven't seen much at all, pretty much non-existent. 2 home runs, 8 RBIs, 8 runs scored, 2 stolen bases, a 156 average, and a 250 on base. So Arozarena, to be honest, I think the home run derby might have messed his swing up a little bit, because early in the season, when he was on a tear, he was one of the best players in fantasy baseball, but he's definitely dropped down the rankings. Now a top 70 player, where he was a top 10 guy the first month and a half of the season. So I think the derby could have been an issue with a Arozarena swing. And also, he wasn't even 100% going into that as well. So the last few games for him: August 2nd at the Yankees, 0 for 4. August 4th at the Tigers, 1 for 4 run. August 5th at the Tigers, 0 for 3. August 6th at the Tigers, 1 for 4 run and a rib. August 8th versus the Cardinals, 2 for 4 in RBI. And August 9th versus the Cardinals, 1 for 2. So right now, like I mentioned here, we haven't seen much out of Arozarena. He's a great talent, but he's still stealing his bases and getting on base. And I think he can turn things around. So right now, with his upside, obviously, one of the better young players in the league is Arozarena. While he's struggling, this is a time to go out there and get him and throw an offer out there. Maybe you could get him at your trade deadline here, is Arozarena. Because like I said, he's too good to be hitting this poor over the last month of the season. The next hitter is Sean Murphy of the Atlanta Braves. So Sean Murphy, he's been on the list a few times now over the last couple weeks here. Murphy, the first two and a half months of the season, was tearing it up as one of the best catchers, if not the best catcher in fantasy baseball. In the year, though, overall, the numbers are still great. 18 home runs, 60 RBIs, 49 runs scored, a 275 average, and a 375 on base. He knows the strike zone very well. He draws his walks, he gets on base. But the last month of the season, it's been a huge slump for him. 1 home run, 6 RBIs, 7 runs scored, a 135 average, and a 262 on base. So right now, those numbers obviously aren't cutting it here for Sean Murphy. He's batting 4th or 5th usually for this Atlanta Brave team. And he's another guy like a Rosarina, the first few months, one of the better hitters in fantasy baseball. But I think he can turn things around here. He's Sean Murphy. And like I said, catches a weak position. And if you could get a catcher with his upside, and obviously the lineup he's in with a lot of good pitchers and protection in there, this is definitely a time to do, because obviously with the deadline now, you got to go out there and try to improve your team. And I think trying to get Sean Murphy on your roster is a winning type of move. August 5th at the Cubs, 1 for 5 a run. August 7th at the Pirates, 1 for 3 a run. August 9th at the Pirates, 1 for 4 in RBI. So they've given him more rest days than not here is Sean Murphy. And the Braves obviously have the luxury as well with Travis d'Arnaud to give him a few rest days and mental days off here, Sean Murphy. So Murphy, they're going to need him obviously for the stretch run and seeding, and then the playoffs obviously is the Atlanta Brave team. And I think he's going to turn things around. So right now, while he hasn't really done much in the last 2 months, is Murphy here. This is a perfect time to go out there and buy him at the deadline in the 5th and final hitter. I look to buy JD Martinez of the Los Angeles Dodgers. So what a bounce back season it's been for JD Martinez, where a lot of people thought with the back injuries and stuff he was finished. I know now he's dealing with a hamstring injury, but a monster hitter he's been in this lineup here with obviously a lot of talented hitters like Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy, Mookie Betts here, 25 home runs, 76 RBIs, 48 runs scored, a stolen base, a 260 average, and a 312 on base. But the last few weeks with the injury and not playing much here, JD Martinez, he's been idle, and it's affecting his game as well here, only hitting 200 in the last few weeks. So right now, Martinez, we know he's up there in age, 35 years old. He's still a great talent, like I mentioned, plays in a great lineup with this Los Angeles Dodger team. And right now, while he's banged up and maybe fantasy owners don't think he'll be back in time or can help their team or whatever the case may be, right now, I would go out there and buy Martinez. I know he only qualifies as utility in fantasy leagues, and he don't really have versatility, but if you could get a hitter like Martinez with the way he's hitting the ball and the launch angle, especially this season, this would be a time to go get him. So that's a few hitters I look to buy here as the trade deadline approaches here today in most fantasy leagues for Week 18 of the fantasy baseball season.